Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today we've got Rohit Srivastava, Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager with Saroj and Bhanu, talking about an AI-based algorithm, predictive analytics, technical analysis, talking about the Investable AI Cannabis Index. Rohit, thanks for being back on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Josh, for having me. Today, this is a regular disclosure we always talk about. This is not an investment advice or financial advice. This is just this is for entertainment and learning purpose. Use your own analysis and your own process to buy or sell. This is just for education. The cannabis index, this is a non-investable cannabis index. The cannabis index which you're talking about, this is only for measuring how the cannabis market is, where the cannabis market is and where it's going. Is an equally weighted index. So tell you a little bit more about what it does. And we already have been talking for this for like 6 months now. So this is where this index was about 6 months ago. This is where about 2 months ago, about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and this last week, and this is where we are right now. So you can see that it's still above 475. It's holding up above 475, but it is still trying to test it. So it's a good point. It is still, I would say it's probably in a good point to invest, but there's no reconfirmation. Like we said, that we probably want a reconfirmation of once it reached to $5 or above, I think we should be comfortable. It has not crossed, but it is still probably, in my view, just testing right now. From the cash flow perspective, this was the last couple of months, and you saw this last week, there was a huge drop, and it is still trying to recover from that. It has still not recovered. So my view about this is that it is still at a risk because not enough money has floated yet, and I would say that it is still testing. Still caution is probably in there. I think there are still some stocks which you can probably buy. It is at a borderline that you can buy it, or you can be cautious of that. So that's where I would say that it's still at a borderline. Now we haven't talked. This is the short-term buy and sells, and this is how the AI arc works. And what it does is buys at a good point and sells at when it finds that the risk is increasing or the losses are increasing. So we have been doing this for about 6 months now, and this is where last couple of weeks or months it has been. And today we were holding only one equity in the Cara, which we sold about like a week ago. And I would like to transition to investable cannabis index. Now, investable cannabis index is basically what we have been talking in terms of short-term buy sell. And what it does, it basically finds a stock when it says that, oh, it has a great opportunity to go up, and it buys that. And when it finds that it has a great risk of going down, it basically tries to sell that. Or if it finds out that, there's too much of risk and we have losses, but it's okay to accept losses, it does that. And for 6 months, we have been talking, and if you guys have not been watching, I would suggest you to go back and watch our videos for the last 6 months. And this is the accumulation of all the trades we have done in the last 6 months. And this is how the cannabis index, the investable AI-based cannabis index, is going to function, is going to perform. And this is it's not an equally weighted. It's weight based on the market cap of the company. So here you can see that how much money has been invested on that on every time there has been a trigger, but based on what their market cap is. And the total size we had was about $1 million. So if we had $1 million and if we invested on different times, this is the gains which we have. This is the cumulative percent of that at that time. Now, the accumulation of the last 6 months would have been about $383,000, which is about 38.35%. Now, this is different than the two indexes which or ETFs which you might be knowing, which is the MJ and PODX. And they can clearly see that the gains which we have, the AI-based gains is like, I don't even have to say, it's probably way ahead of what those indexes. And the biggest value which we bring to this index is the is the AI-based system, is the system which basically identifies when to buy and when to sell. And just wanted to let our viewers know about that part. And we're going to keep tracking this going forward, and we're going to keep updating what is the gains and losses we have at this point. So summarizing what we have right now, that it has passed the 475, it is still testing 475. We can invest with caution. It looks positive, but there is some bumpy road on there. We don't have any new buys or sell this week. Just reiterating that the Investable Cannabis Index, which we have, Investable Ai-Based Cannabis Index, which we have, we are looking to launch that in the coming weeks, and very excited for that, and looking forward to have more gains in that. Thanks, and if you have any questions.
Yeah, no, I just kind of wanted to make one point that we have missed out on some profitability. So it might be kind of interesting to take a look at the Sharpe Ratio and kind of see, our risk adjusted returns and what those are. Just kind of highlighting that we have lost, $5,000 to $7,000, representing maybe 5%. And so that's what I would put on a trailing stop loss, just individually. So our trading robot, if you will, has some risk to it, but not enough to take advantage of some of those gains that we've missed out on, upwards of 20%, because it was too risky. So while some people might ask, this is too good to be true, or why is it losing money? It's because we have within your algorithm an ability to take on risk, but not too much. So it means we may lose a little bit and we may miss out on some gains. But all in all, I mean, being up over 80% by comparison to ticker symbol MJ, I mean, that's success right there. Proof in the pudding. The numbers speak for themselves. Absolutely. So that's a phenomenal return.
Yeah, and also, and sometimes, we compare 600 million versus 1 million, and I can still give a benefit of thinking that okay. It's probably hard for an ETF to actually hedge that much, but you can see the comparison between POTX and our index. It's 9 million, 1 million is not, in my view, it's not a big difference, and that itself should give you an answer that the AI based, a smart index is probably anytime better than an index which basically is just investing based on whatever logic they're using. So,
yeah, I think Canopy was one of the bigger companies that was seeing some growth this last week or two.
Right.
But all in all, whether it's coronavirus or just the industry in and of itself, it's not been doing very well the last couple of weeks, and that's why we only have one equity on there and on hold. Because again, the robot is smarter than we are, and it knows what to do. And right now, it's on a holding pattern.
Yeah, and it's a non-emotional aspect of it. When I read news about sometimes positive, oh yeah, there is so much $1 million invested in Hexo, and I'm like, oh shoot, I need to invest in that. But the robot is not telling me anything, which basically tells me which tells me okay, it's probably understands better than my emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do like it because they're going into heavy automation with pre-rolls, making 40,000 a day. They just got a new machine that makes, I think, 60,000 edible pieces per day. I really like it, but maybe that's already baked in the cake. I would believe the robot over my own intuition. I do see that long term, maybe that's the play, is automation. But right now, it's not worth that trade. All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Rohit Srivastava, Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager with Saroj and Bhanu. Thanks for diving into this analytics and showing us what happened.
Thank you, Josh.
I appreciate it. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.